Ikeda's Journey 6, translated by Chan Boon Jiao, illustrated by Debbie Yap.
The first character Shi of shizi, a lion, means teacher or mentor. The second character Zi means child or disciple. The lion represents courage, dignity, youthful passion and resolve, which frequently appears in Nichiren's writings. Mr. Ikeda encourages everyone to persevere and triumph in all circumstances.
1958 to 1961, paving the way with deep prayers and determination. My beloved mentor is gone, standing in the vanguard of the disciples who have emerged from the earth. I advance again today like a surging wave. This was the poem recited by Mr. Ikeda in April 1958 after Mr. Toda's passing. As the one disciple of Mr. Toda, Mr. Ikeda was determined to protect the members in his place and fight whatever fierce wave ahead, thereby paving the path for Kosen Rufu. The Soka Gakkai was without a president. Mr. Ikeda, who was in his 30s, was appointed as General Administrator, a newly created position to oversee the actual running of the whole organization. Calls for General Administrator Ikeda to become the third president has been growing stronger throughout the organization. The top leaders had also been repeatedly asking him to accept the presidency. And finally, on 3rd May 1960, more than 20,000 members gathered to witness the long-awaited historical moment at the Nihon University Auditorium in Ryogoku, Tokyo. Right in front of the hall, a huge photograph of Mr. Toda was hung above center stage. Surrounded by thunderous applause, Mr. Ikeda stood up to deliver his speech. Young as I am, as a representative of Mr. Toda's disciples, I assume leadership so that we can all advance together one step further towards the realization of Kosen Rufu. In a voice resounding with power, the 32-year-old young Ikeda became the third president of Soka Gakkai. Daisaku, the world is your challenge. It is your true stage. Go on my behalf. This was the spiritual baton that Mr. Toda entrusted to him. On 2nd of October, 5 months after his inauguration as president, Mr. Ikeda was at Haneda Airport, embarking on his first visit overseas. In the aeroplane, Mr. Ikeda quietly placed his hand over his breast pocket, where a photograph of Mr. Toda was kept close to his heart. The 24-day visit started with the first stop in Hawaii, followed by visits to 9 other cities in America, Canada, and Brazil. Even though there were few members in those cities, Mr. Ikeda encouraged them wholeheartedly and established the first district and chapter overseas during the visit. 3 months later, on 28 January 1961, he visited Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand and Cambodia for the first time. The first district in Asia was then established in Hong Kong. On 4th October, Mr. Ikeda traveled to Europe. The first place he landed on was Denmark, the birthplace of Hans Christian Andersen. From there, he went to Germany, Netherlands, France, England, Spain, Switzerland, Austria, and Italy. Mr. Ikeda traveled around to encourage all the members in these places. Even in countries where there was no member, he chanted continuously in his heart as though to penetrate the earth with daimoku. Eventually, bodhisattvas of the earth will emerge in these countries. I will call them forth. With such deep prayers and determination, Mr. Ikeda paved the path of worldwide Kosen Rufu. To be continued. Translated from September 2018 Kibo Journal, the Soka Gakkai monthly newspaper of the Junior Division.